everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. If in the next couple minutes, if you could put your name, where you're coming from, and the semester that you're interested in the chat. And if you say both semesters, either semester, just here to learn, that's totally fine too. It's just always kind of fun to see where people are coming from. Maybe you can also share if you're a parent or a student. I think we have a mix of those tonight. So the agenda tonight is we're going to share a little bit about us. We're going to share who we are. That's our introduction. And then the basics of our program and the 4 pillars that we have our program structured around. We'll also make some time to talk about the admissions process and leave about 15 minutes for question and answer. All right, so I'll start with me. I'm Mary Reid Munford. I use she, her pronouns. I am a former traveling school teacher. I taught for the Southern Africa semester about 8 years ago, I think it was. And I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. And now I'm back at the traveling school doing some admissions, and then now as the academic dean. So what I love about the traveling school is the place-based nature of our learning. I just think I taught in traditional classrooms for about 10 years. And I found learning came alive the most when it connected to people's lives. I think that's how most people are. So it's just so wonderful to have like the world as your classroom. And it just feels so natural and normal and great. And here with us is Jennifer. Jennifer, go ahead.
Hi everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm Jennifer Royall. I'm the executive director of the traveling school, and I was also a teacher 20 years ago. So crazy. And I don't know, I've been a whole lot of different things at the traveling school over the years. After I taught for the traveling school, it was hard to leave and go back to the regular classroom. I think it's really true what Mary Reid says. The traveling school, still to this day, 20 years later, when I talk about it, when I get on a webinar and talk to people about the traveling school, it gives me the chills. The traveling school is a powerful program. It helps students engage in a place and in the people of that place and learn about the place from the people, rather than some book written by someone potentially who's never even been to that place or who is just recounting history from one perspective. So I really think it's powerful, and that's why I'm here to just talk about it with you. So welcome.
Awesome. And I'm just gonna we have folks from Kauai, from Egypt, Amherst, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Kalaheo. I don't know if I said that right, hopefully. And Kauai. Wonderful. We got literally all over the world tonight, which is amazing. Well, if you have questions that come up throughout, feel free to pop them in the chat. There's a chance we might say, oh, perfect, we'll answer that right now. We might say, hold that till the end, but either way, we will get to them. All right. So I love starting with this quote because I think the students' experience is the reason we're here, the reason any of you want to learn about it. And this is a beautiful quote from one of our students. I feel like the traveling school didn't change who I was, but helped me become closer to who I want to be and transformed the way I move through the world. The traveling school left me feeling more like myself than ever, more confident, more empowered, and more curious. I care more about what my communities look like and am more passionate about changing them for the better. And here are the basics about us. We're all girls students and non-binary. Now we're sort of more inclusive of students whose voices have been silenced on the basis of gender. Ages 15 to 18, and we have 2 semester locations. Southern Africa in the fall, our crew is out there right now, and South America in the spring. And a key part of who we are is that we are pretty much technology free. We should probably say technology limited. Our teachers do have phones. We have a handful of computers to do basic things, but in general, students do not have their phones. They're off social media. They are fully immersed in the place where they are. And so it's all about the community they're building together and the communities they're interacting with.
Yes, and the part of the traveling school that is so powerful is our mission and our vision and values. So we really are working to really amplify the voices of the students who come on our program through this very engaging type of education that's firsthand, through transformative education to ignite positive change. So the goal is that students go home with confidence in their voice and that their voices matter and that they can make change in this world, which is so important as you're moving from high school to college and thinking about how do you want to engage.
Yeah. And we have been around for 20 years. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary right now. Oh, I hate that those photos are a little grainy, but it's okay. We have 461, of course you don't notice that until right now. But yeah, we've been around for 20 years, 461 alum. We are really proud of that. And we've now worked with hundreds of different high schools all over the world to transfer credit. And we are really, really excited about moving into year 21. We are also, just to share, we're members of the National Association of Independent Schools, which is NAIS is a private organization of private schools across the country. Most private schools belong to that. We are accredited by the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, and we're a member of the International Coalition of Girls Schools, ICGS, which is an international thing. And we just share all this to say, like, underline, we are a school. While all of the photos and so much of what is exciting about it might not look like school, that really is the heart of what we are all about. And before we get on to that, we are going to talk about academics in just one second. So, but the first, sometimes people are wondering, like, what does this even look like? What is a traveling school? So a sample itinerary, and this is not too far off from what our students have done in the past. But so you might start in Livingstone, Zambia, which is in Southern Africa. And you would go there with the group. The group would meet in an American airport, fly over together, and start in one place. And in one place, they're going to do orientation to safety, to community building. They're going to have their first classes, start to really get to know each other and figure out how this whole thing's going to work, do some team building. And they might do something fun like whitewater rafting, which is part of our physical education curriculum. And then they'll start getting on the road. There might be a half day or a whole day on the road, and then they go set up camp. Often our students in Southern Africa are in campsites next to hotels or something like that, where they might be in a setting up their canvas tents at a designated campsite with bathrooms and electricity. Our South America students might be moving into a hostel or something like that. And in this example, in Chobe National Park, game drives to do your science journals, to write down observations about what you're seeing so that you can then debrief it with your environmental science teacher afterwards for biology class. Then you might have a set class time where you're actually having a lecture from your history teacher, or you're having a discussion about the novel that you're reading for your African literature class, or a talk with a local conservationist as part of your environmental science class. And then the next day you're on the road again. So we just share this to sort of illustrate it truly is a traveling school. We are not in one place, and we are on the move, and we make time for travel, learning, fun, and taking care of yourselves and restful.
Yeah, and like Mary Reid said, it is a school. So there are academic classes, and these classes are created by our team, and they're based around the places where we travel. We also work with students or potential students' home schools to make sure that these classes will be given credit at the school. So these classes are similar to what students might be taking at home: an environmental science class, their honors level, history and politics, but focused around the region, a literature class with novels that are written by regional authors. In the fall, we teach a statistics class, and in the spring, we teach advanced financial algebra. And then in our spring semesters in South America, we offer 3 levels Spanish, and we have a global studies class in both semesters based around the area and based around the region in terms of issues and challenges and yeah, what's going on in that place. Along with those classes, we have the physical and outdoor fitness class and the leadership and life skills class. And these classes, like I said, are based around where we're traveling, and that's what makes this semester school so different from the others that exist. So we're focusing on this place and learning about the history or the natural science or the global issues of that region. This is how the curriculum really comes alive for the students, and it's why it's so engaging and powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so as well, just, our students are motivated. Our students aren't escaping their home high schools. These students are motivated in terms of what they want to do next, and they certainly, the majority of them are looking to go to college, and they're using this as a stepping stone to get there in a lot of ways, one of which is just to gain some independence and to learn how to live away from home, but other is just to have this as an experience that they use to sell themselves in terms of showing how different they are from the other students and how motivated they are to learn in new ways, in all kinds of ways. But our students go to so many types of schools all over the country, whether they be Ivy League, big public schools, private schools, small independent schools, outdoor focused schools, environmental schools. They're everywhere. I was just in the DC area and I made a point to see a bunch of students that we have students at George Washington University, Georgetown, and American University, just right there in that one town. So they're all over.
Yeah. And so after academics, one of our next focuses is community engagement. So just like Jennifer said, she's in touch with students from years back. We are incredibly community focused. We're a tight group. It's up to 16 students and 4 teachers. So the first thing is the community you're building among your group, and you're building as a part of the traveling school community. And then obviously, of course, you're traveling, you're building the spirit of a world citizen, meeting people and learning about their perspectives, figuring out how to engage with the world, how to create change at home and also like in the broader world, how to be a responsible traveler. And we think it's really important to not just be a tourist, to be engaged in the places we travel. So at this point, we have decades running back 20 years. I mean, we have connections running back decades. And we've met a lot of new people along the way. So some of the people that students are engaging with, we have been working with for years and years and years. And then every time we go, we're learning new things and making new connections. It's the idea is to move past that single story you might get on a shorter trip or a summer program or doing a school research project where you get into something just for a second. We are really in it and there and traveling through it. And so this photo is some of our students playing a soccer game with a group of Bolivian women. And then this photo is our group, like becoming a group on its own. The number of photos we have of students in a circle is just innumerable. And it's because forming that group is so important. We value community and focus. We focus on building one group where everyone has a voice. We are very intentional about how students get along and how they behave with each other, and they end up forming lifelong friendships. And another example of community building, this was from one of my semesters. I love this story. This photo is a little bit ridiculous, but we were having a little too much fun. I had lived in Zambia for a little bit after college, and by the time I was a teacher with a traveling school, we got into Lusaka, and I texted my friend Mercy and said, "Oh, you're at the university, right? You're at University of Zambia. Could my students come by and could you kind of show them around the University of Zambia just to see what a university in a place like Zambia might be like?" And she was like, "Yes, of course I can. And they have to come to my sister's afterwards. like, we have to have y'all over for tea. And it wasn't just tea. They had us over. They invited cousins, and like her sister was there, and her niece and nephew, and we had a pool party. So it was this kind of thing where, because we do have connections, because we know people, we have these amazing ways of engaging in a culture that you could not get just on your own. You couldn't just get on a family trip or on like a brief summer program. I just, yeah, I love seeing this picture every time.
Another one of our pillars is outdoor adventure. And we engage physically in the places where we visit. So it doesn't mean that you have to be intrepid backpacker and have been a rock climber or been, or a expert kayaker, but we dabble in all kinds of fun things that we encounter. And so this group that's in Southern Africa right now, they were just on a river trip, and they did an overnight down in the Zambezi Gorge. They will go climb a very beautiful orange sand dune like this to see the sunrise in Namibia. They'll potentially go rappelling and go backpacking. And in South America, we do incredible things as well. We go rafting in the rainforest, and we climb, in the mountains, and we go backpacking, and they try their hand at mountaineering. So these are all things that they learn how to do, the students. Some students have more experience than others, depending upon where they live and what they're into, but we're all learning together, and we're pushing, edges in a way that's collaborative and community focused and supportive. And that's really important to us. But the point of it is to build skills, build confidence, and just realize that, yeah, we can take risks, little risks that are organized and planned, and we can try things, and some things are going to be hard and some things are going to be easy, no matter what we do, whether it's the academics or the meeting new people or the trying new things. So this is in Namibia. And then the next photo is our students rappelling beside a waterfall in South Africa. So definitely not something a lot of students have done before. And really powerful to get a chance to try.
And our fourth pillar is leadership development, but really it's embedded in all those others. Students learn how to be a leader in their classroom through academic discussions. They learn how to be a leader as they're engaging in a community and as they're building their own community. And outdoor leadership, outdoor education also builds leadership and confidence. Some of the ways that we do this more intentionally are, we have circles like these multiple times a day. And certainly we have like a weekly circle where students celebrate what they did that week and preview the next week. Students take turns being, let me save that for the next slide. Okay, let's do it. Students take turns becoming the leader of the day. Excuse me. So they work with teachers to help plan the day. So they take turns saying, what should the schedule be tomorrow? The teachers will say, all right, well, we need to have a math class and an English class. And in the afternoon, we've already made plans to go to blank, and so they work with the students to really make the day work. And then the student presents the schedule. The student helps keep the day moving and, helps move the schedule along as it's happening. And they figure out, what do their peers need right now? Do they set a theme? Do they advocate for some kind of particular activity? Or maybe they say, we really need a slower day today. Can we build in a little more rest time? So it's really a way for students to start to take ownership of not only their own day, but how their whole group operates.
And so I know a lot of you are here today to hear, like, what is the traveling school, and is my child a traveling school student, or am I a student who might like to participate in the traveling school? And so, I think it's important just for you to think about, or for us to tell you about, what we've seen over the years in terms of who comes to the traveling school and what they're looking for. And as you can see, just from this webinar, our students come from all over. I mean, we've had students who are from countries all over the world and states all over the US. So that's pretty amazing. Over 40 to 60% of them receive need-based scholarships of all levels, anywhere from 2,000 to 20 plus. So we have an application for that. These students who come to the traveling school, they're motivated. They want to be there. They want more from what they're seeing in the regular high school, and they have a little sense of adventure. And they're willing to try new things, just like those outdoor activities. Yeah, and I think a big piece of it is, yes, you have to be willing to be part of a community and to build community and to work through the hard parts of being in community. That's really important. And the last thing I've been saying the whole time, you're looking for more. You're looking for something different, and you're running towards that. You're not running away from something. We know high school is hard. We know the past 3 years plus have been really hard for students. But our students, yeah, they're motivated to find something out there in the world and to find their voices.
All right, so kind of getting practical here. Our admissions process we're currently accepting applications for this spring. So if any of y'all are interested in this spring in South America, that would be something to contact us about as soon as possible. We're kind of finalizing that cohort in the next month or so. And then otherwise, we're about to open our application for the next year. So for next fall and spring. Fall 2024, spring 2025. And that application will go live at the end of this month. The application process will be the same as the one that's currently up on our website. The first thing is just applying, getting the student to share both the logistical information, address, school, etc., and answer some short and long questions. No formal essay, but there are some questions that are designed to get you to think, and we really want to hear some thoughtful responses. That really helps us get to know your student. We have there's a $25 application fee, and please let us know if you have any issues with that. We can definitely work with families on that. Then the next thing is talking to your school. You definitely want to talk to your school in advance and get on the same page as them. So you get a transcript from them for your application and start filling out an academic credit transfer form. We send a form along with our curriculum guide, and you take it to your school to start discussing, how does this look with my academic schedule? And every school is a little bit different, and we are also here for that conversation. So if you ever need support with your school, I think last week I was on a Zoom call with an incoming student and their high school trying to make it work with their credits. And you get 2 recommendations. So students get 2 recommendations from either teachers. One of them needs to come from a recent academic teacher, and the second could come from a second teacher or a coach, an employer, a mentor, or a close family friend who can kind of best speak to what kind of person this student is. And then the last step is, if it's relevant to you, is filling out the need-based scholarship application. It's called FACS. And so if you're applying for that, then that's a parent step. The parents or guardians would need to complete a FACS application. All of this is due by February 15th of next year. So there's quite a nice amount of time. We are very likely to have an early admissions deadline this year at December 1st. So if you're really excited about us, we encourage you to apply as early as you can. And then, our future webinars. These are up on our admissions event website, but just if you want to get a sense more of what the flow of a traveling school day looks like, what different kinds of days at the traveling school look like, October 3rd is a great time for that. We'll be joined by our head of school. November 1st, we'll do a deep dive into our location. So really talking about what's different about the South America semester versus the Southern Africa semester? There's a lot of things that are the same. All of our core values are the same. The mission is the same, but there are some differences. It might be a good one for you if you're like, well, I'm not really sure which seems like the best fit. And then on November 28th, Jennifer and I will be right back here doing finances and scholarships. And that will really get into what does it look like to afford a traveling school semester? Because we know that this is a huge investment in your in education, and we believe in it. And we have worked with a lot of families to help make this happen between scholarships, fundraising, and payment plans, all sorts of different things like that. So, okay, well, we have made good time and we are now open for questions. If anybody has any questions, feel free to either put it in the chat or just unmute yourself and throw it out there. I see Jaya. The Western US semester no longer available, or will it be an option in future semesters? It's a great question. We are not doing the Western US semester this year. We started doing the Western US after COVID, and it was difficult to travel internationally, and it was amazing and we loved it. And this year we have been trying to go back to our international locations. We are considering what it might look like to do something in the Western US in the future. And it's still on our radar, but there's not a concrete vision to have that happen in the next couple of years, or the next year, I should say. Jennifer, do you want to answer this one? What does a day in the life of the students look like?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. A day in the life, there's no day that's the same. I'll tell you that much. We live and die by the whiteboard because it's easily erased. I actually just started my whiteboard for the month in this office today. And the reason it being easy to erase is important is because, you have to be able to shift if something amazing, an opportunity comes up that you hadn't planned for. But typically in the morning, students start with a PE class. There's classes, so they start with PE, then they have breakfast, and they might have some classes or an experiential opportunity that is academic based. They might go out, have an outdoor activity, some kind of physical challenge, or it's crazy. And then so you have a chunk of time that's class oriented, whether it be physical or mental, academic. And then at the end of the day, we typically, again, we'll have an evening meal. And then after 5 days a week, from Sunday night till Thursday night, we have an hour and a half study hall where the students have time to get ready for the classes that week, and lights out. So it's packed, and it's full of all kinds of different things, for sure.
Hi, I see if you're a senior now, can I apply for spring 2025? I think if you're a senior now, that would mean it would be like a gap year. Is that correct? If that's the case, probably not. We essentially, it is an academic program. So basically we have curriculum and students are still enrolled in their high schools. There are some exceptions that we've made before for students that are doing, applying to be with us the direct semester after they've graduated. So we've had students who graduated in May and maybe come with us in the fall, and they're still kind of in academic mode. They're still fully engaged in our academics. But they're not necessarily getting that high school credit. They've already graduated. We found that once students get further out than a semester, they're used to more freedom. They're used to a different kind of life and boundaries than we are holding for our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And also 10th, 11th, and 12th is already a pretty big age range. So we feel pretty strongly that like 15 to 18 is about as wide as we want to go there. Do students ever call home? Yes, they do. We did first phone call last week.
Yeah, so the students typically the first 10 days, we work together and don't have calls home, where students just kind of get to settle into their community and get to know each other, and just it's a little bit of, you know, silence between the two. But then after that, we set up phone calls every 10 days to 2 weeks, and folks sign up and they can call their student. And yeah, it's fun. It's a little bit of a Mary Reid had her first encounter. It's a little bit of a free for all, trying to get it all. It's like herding cats, but it's great. It's great to hear. It's just hear the stories, you know, and have 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes of kind of uninterrupted time with your student. It doesn't happen that much. I hear when parents talk about it after fact. You know, it's a lot of texting and a lot of little short conversations, but 20 to 30 minutes of straight talk is kind of unusual in this day and age, it seems like sometimes. So yeah.
Another thing that I think is great is we have a blog that parents can follow along with. So the head office, we're in really close communication with the semester. So we're either going to put up a blog, a teacher's going to put up a blog, even students write blog entries. So we do try to keep you, even if you're not talking to your student every day, or you know you're not no longer able to like text them, you will be seeing updates. You will be seeing pretty regular updates of where they are, what they're doing, and you know, hopefully we share lots of pictures of seeing what they're doing. There's also updates on social media that are more public, but we definitely have blog entries behind the scenes.
Good question.
That's great. Is there a high school year, junior, senior, freshman, where there's such a semester tends to be the best fit, tend to fit in the best? I really like this question because I think it's an important one. And for better or worse, I think the answer is it depends on your student. I would say that we get 10th graders who are like particularly maybe on the more mature side. They're ambitious, they're excited to do this, and they would rather do it before they get into things like the IB curriculum at their school or APs. It is trickier to deal with our courses along with AP and IB. Not impossible, but it gets a little trickier. So some students are like, okay, I want to do this when I'm in 10th grade, because then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do all that. Junior year is the most popular year. Junior year is the most popular year for all of our students. I think it's a nice balance of they are ready for the real challenge, but not yet a senior and totally focused on college stuff yet. But we do get some things. So
yeah, I was going to say, I've had every one of my nieces have been seniors, and they love choosing their senior year. And quite a few of them were spring semester seniors, but some were actually still doing applications in the fall. So it's doable anytime. It really does depend on your school and your student. I think that's so true. And just what this, you know, talking with the counselor and talking with the school is very helpful there too. And then I see this, how many teachers travel with the students, and we have 4 teachers and up to 16 students on a semester. So right now, with our US based programs during, you know, COVID, the semesters were a little smaller than that, but we still had 4 teachers. So we had 10 to 12 students with 4. It takes 3 to 4 teachers to make sure that we're doing our courses well, even if the group gets a little smaller. It's a lot to do otherwise, especially like in South America, where there's three levels of Spanish plus all the other classes. So we want to make sure our teachers can be not only, you know, focus on their academics and doing a good job there, but also all the other pieces of what it takes to oversee a program and move through these international regions.
Yeah. Jaya asked, what would you say are the greatest and main challenges that students might face at TTS? Such a good question. I think just one of the challenges is just, for most students, they've never left their families or their home environment, their home high school for it's about 3.5 months. I think that that's kind of the biggest challenge, is just sort of taking that leap to be away from your people. I think it's also one of the most beautiful and powerful pieces of it, because you learn how to become more independent. You learn that you can make your own new friendships and new connections, and have mentorships that are different than what you had in high school or what you had growing up. And you kind of see how big and different the world is, even just among the people you're in school with. But that does take it takes a leap. Jennifer, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say again, it depends on the student. I think sometimes it's, some students have gone to camp and they're used to being away for the whole summer, but some students, living out of a bag, a duffel bag or backpack, and trying to stay organized. That can be hard. What I'll tell you that's not a challenge is I think almost 100% of the students think it's going to be hard to be without tech. And in fact, they love it. So that's the thing that I would just say. You just don't know what's going to be hard for you. And it really does, it might be the first time you're sick and you don't have home, you're not there. But that's the beauty of building that community. But yeah, there'll be challenges for sure. And if there weren't, it wouldn't be as powerful a program as it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed with all these questions. Wow.
I feel like, yeah.
I want to see Jaya, Haley, and Camden faces. Don't have to. Don't have to.
All right. Well, we'll give you okay, there we go. All right. Let's do another question or two.
Ooh, good one.
How do you compare your current two destinations? I think a quick overview. Some of the differences are that South America is a little bit more urban, just the nature of the places in which we travel. So you're more likely to be staying in a hostel versus a campsite. There are also a bit more backpacking and things like that in the South America semester compared to the Southern Africa. The other thing, let's see, some of the other things. Some of the other things, so in South America, there's a language course, which significantly shapes the curriculum and is a huge draw for certain students. If you have either never taken Spanish and you want to get a real kickstart, or if you have been taking Spanish and you really want to work on it. I think the Spanish curriculum in Southern Africa, you're traveling through cultures that have multiple languages. So we don't do one language study, but you do learn a little bit. You might learn some basics of a certain language, basics of a certain culture you're traveling with or encountering. Jennifer, what else do you think is different?
Yeah, and in Southern Africa, we're camping a bit. We're traveling in a safari truck, and it's it's our shell, and we're turtles, and everything is in that truck. So it carries our tents, and it carries our incredible sleeping pads and our kitchen, and it's a big old blue truck that is really lovely home. So I think that's really important. There's camping, but it's glamping. It's nice camping. And yeah, there are less, it's hard to go backpacking when there's lions and elephants. And so we don't do as much of that. We do some river trips actually, and in very carefully chosen spots. And we are incorporating a backpacking trip for the first time, which is nice. For the first time in a while, or a different kind of backpacking trip this Southern Africa semester. But the course, the curriculum and the themes that we cover and that focus is very similar from semester to semester. other than that language component. Yeah, and the importance of engaging in the place is similar from semester to semester.
And then if you would like any more information, feel free to email me at admissions@travelingschool.com or call our main line and let us know what you're looking for, and we can connect you. Sometimes we're happy to connect families with each other. If you're like, you know, we would really like to hear from somebody who went to the traveling school from our area, or somebody else who is an international family, or anything like that. We have a whole network of alum and alum parents who have, you know, been super gracious with their time and have shared their experiences and would love to talk to you about it. And we know that sometimes that's invaluable. You can hear it from us, but hearing it from somebody who's actually done it is really amazing. So just let us know what information you need, and we hope to hear from you soon.